try not to interrupt you too much. So you'll
Oh,
see me.
I'm fine with interruptions.
All right. Okay. Well, I'll be here. Electra, you holler at me if you need me to. Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Here we go. Jackie, you still on there?
I'm still here. Yeah, I haven't hit the button yet. So, uh,
Hold up, Maxine. We gotta get you on the main screen here. All right. So we are live. We are live now. And so I want to do a brief introduction, and then I want you to just take your time because we've been doing a lot of promotion so that people could tune in and hear this interview, because a lot of people are really lost on a lot of things about voting. So you're here to educate us, and so just want to say that I'm excited about you coming on, especially as an election official. Um, to be honest with you, I didn't even know anything about election official, but I'm glad to know one and I'm honored that you agreed to come on tonight and share your knowledge with us. Want you to also know, like what Jackie was telling you about the different people who tune in and who see this. They're not all in the United States. Some of them live outside of the United States, and they might not be on tonight because of their time versus ours, but they do go on and view it. So what you are saying is very important. So share as much, as you feel comfortable with sharing with the audience on tonight. What will happen is you'll just keep talking, and if myself or Jackie might jump in and ask a question or something, but it won't be something that's going to throw you off key. I want you to know that if you're not comfortable with something, say I'm not comfortable with that, it's okay. But then towards the end, I'll let you know that I'm going to go on the chat section and let you know what people may be saying, questions they may have.
Sure.
So we can go
Of
on.
course.
Okay, so we can go on now and get started. All right.
Well, first of all, yes, thank you, Electra. First of all, I'd like to apologize to you for having sent you that 30-plus-year-old picture of mine. I couldn't find another one. I don't do selfies. So that was me then. This is me now.
That's okay.
What you see is what you get.
You looking good.
And I'm also a little off kiltered because I've been suffering with an episode of vertigo all week, and my vision's a bit blurred, and I'm a little shaky, maybe because of the medication, but I am good to go.
Okay.
I thank you for asking me to do this. And I don't want to give out any information that isn't accurate. So if you don't mind, from time to time, I'll refer to my notes.
Okay, that's fine.
I want to talk about the primary. Okay. The primary is coming up March 1st. That's election day. Actually, early voting starts February 14th. That's on a Monday. And from Monday through Friday, we work, the polls are open 8 to 5. That Saturday, they'll be open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We're even there on Sunday. The Sunday hours have been extended by 1 hour. So we are there from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. The following Monday is President's Day, so there will be no voting. But on Tuesday through Friday, we'll be there 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We encourage people to vote early. You do not want to be caught in a line of 500 or 600 people on that Tuesday. So I encourage everyone, if possible, please vote early. Now in Texas, we have what's called an open primary. That means If you're in one party, you can vote in another party's primary. If you're a Republican, you can vote in the Democratic primary. Now, although Texas recognizes 4 political parties, that's the Democratic Party, Green Party, the Libertarian Party, and the Republican Party, you will only be allowed to vote on a Democratic ballot or a Republican ballot. You must advise the election worker which ballot you'd like to have. I think in 2008, I think there were a lot of Republicans voting in Democratic primary because Obama and Hillary Clinton were running for the presidential nomination. And as far as I can tell, they voted for Hillary to try to keep Obama from winning the state primary and the presidential nomination. But, well, we know how that turned out. Mm-hmm. So just remember, you have to declare whether you want a Republican ballot or a Democratic ballot once you get to the polls. Now, I think it's an excellent idea if you can print a ballot from the website, or if you can just write down the names of the persons that you want to vote for. That's an excellent idea because it lessens your time in the polling location. Mm-hmm. Now, in the primary, Democrats run against other Democrats, and the same with Republicans. This way, we narrow the field down to one person who will run against the opposite party in the general election in November. And I think that election is November 8th, if memory serves me well. And the last day to register to vote for the November 8th election is October 5th. The last day that a voter can request a ballot by mail for this election is February 18th. So please remember that. There were some changes made, or at least one change made, to the application, which is the reason there are thousands of ballots applications being rejected. So please remember, if you are going to vote by mail, you must list either your Texas driver's license, your Texas ID number, or the last 4 of your social. And a lot of the ballots applications were returned because the county has one identifying number for you, let's say your driver's license. Mm-hmm. And on this new application, you may list the last 4 of your social, so they don't have the same information on both pieces of paper for you. So it's very important that you understand what you are doing when you fill in that application for a ballot by mail. I personally would rather see someone come in to vote, but there are a lot of people who are disabled, who don't have transportation, who cannot come in, and they must vote by mail. I do hope there's someone who can assist them, because it is not the easiest thing to do anymore.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have to vote by mail. I'm disabled, and I don't drive. And my electric wheelchair is on the fritz right now, so I'm definitely.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. So I am very concerned. We did get an application. I did get a thing in the mail to fill out, and but I'm very concerned because my sister did some research, and she said, if you registered before like 2003, there may not be a number recorded. I was still driving when I registered to vote, but I don't drive anymore, and I've only had a Texas ID for 20 years. So I'm concerned that I did get my registration thing in the mail, and so I did put my voter ID number on there. I put my ID number, but I'm worried.
Well, let me just let me remind you that the new application
Mm-hmm.
has, they are requesting your driver's license number, your Texas ID number, or the last four of your social. Now, if you don't remember what number you gave them when you when you first registered, then that's a concern.
Yeah, I don't
But
remember.
if you list as many numbers as you have available to you,
That's what I was going to ask.
perhaps,
Can you?
yes,
And I
I
did
would
that.
put every number I have,
That's what I did.
and
Okay.
yes, to
I did.
eliminate any problems. But
That's what I
if you
did.
ever are concerned, Jackie, I'm going to give you guys two telephone numbers.
Okay.
The voter registrar
Okay.
is 40. Is this a good time to give you
Yeah,
that?
I'm getting my pen. I'm getting my pen. Hold on. I'm getting my notebook. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to give you the voter registrar's number,
Okay.
which is 409
Mm-hmm.
766 2280.
Okay.
And the elections division is 409 770 5108.
I will
Either
make sure.
of these, okay, 409 766 2280 for the registrar, 409 770 5108 for the elections division. Either of these offices will be more than happy to help you decide what you need to do to get your ballot.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
And many instances, people are disabled, but not to the point that they don't travel.
Right.
So if you can get in a car, we can bring the voting equipment to you. You
Yes.
do not have to get out of the car.
Yes.
There will be, I think either one of those numbers perhaps will work. You can call that number, tell them you are going to wherever your location is to vote, and you would like to have, you would like to do a curbside vote. And
Yes.
they will bring the apparatus to your car. You will never have to get out.
I've done that.
Okay.
I've done that several times too. So, okay.
All right.
Thank you, Maxine.
Okay. Oh, you're quite welcome, dear. Okay. And I said that you can vote in another party's primary. Now, the candidate must win a simple majority, which is 50% plus one, I think, still. But in case, now, in most of the positions on our ballots, there's more than one candidate. So if one person does not get a 50% of the vote, then two highest vote getters will have to there'll have to be a runoff for them. Even if one gets 48% and the other one gets 10, there has to be a runoff unless you get 50% of the vote. So, and the runoff, and more than likely there will be one in each party. So May 24th, I believe, is the date that has been set for a runoff.
Okay.
And if you'd like, as I said, you can bring a marked ballot in to the polling location. You can mark who you want to vote for, and you can bring it in. You cannot have it on your phone and use it in the polling location, but you can scribble it on the back of a napkin. You can make a copy of your ballot. However you choose to remember the names you want to vote for, please do that. When you come in to vote, it'll make things go a lot smoother.
Okay. Maxine.
Yes.
Maxine.
Yes.
I have two.
Can you hear me?
I have two viewers
Okay.
who have some questions. Do you want me to go on and ask them now or save them for the tail end?
It doesn't matter. However, they may not be able to stay on for the entire time, so let them ask their questions now, if you don't mind.
Okay, so one of the viewers says, What if someone is still on parole? How does that work? She's asking if someone is on parole. Okay. How does that work? And
all right.
The other,
in the state of Texas, in the state of Texas, you have to be considered. They call it off paper, but it simply means that you. Well, I tell you what. Let me find my notes on that.
Okay.
And I can. I'll be sure that I don't misquote the state of Texas.
Okay.
But let's see. And I think that I can go while I'm looking for that.
You want me to
I
go
can tell you that your parole officer. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Your parole officer will let you know whether you have completed your sentence. Now, if your sentence is pardoned, you can now your voting rights are restored. And if you have completed all the requirements of your sentence, mm-hmm. then you are eligible to vote. And it's something I can hardly read my own notes here, but I do have that, and at a later time in the program I'll talk about it.
Okay.
But there's a website called Restore Your Vote. Restore Your Vote.
Okay.
It is it's legal and it's anonymous.
Okay.
And okay, I found it.
Okay.
There are millions of Americans with past convictions who are eligible to vote and have no idea. They are not aware that they are eligible to vote. Mm-hmm. When you have been fully discharged by the state or whatever state you're in, mm-hmm. Your sentence was pardoned, you are automatically restored. There is a problem because it's not always clear when your sentence is fully completed. So you'll have to, I'm sure the parole officer is supposed to give you some kind of declaration saying that you are eligible to vote again. Mm-hmm. Those two numbers, mm-hmm. if you'll call either one of those numbers, and give them your name, they will tell you whether you are eligible to vote again. Mm-hmm. But there are 2 or 3 states, and the Washington D.C., I believe, you can vote from jail. Mm. But in Texas, you have to complete your sentence, your parole, or whatever, and be fully and completely cut loose by the state of Texas before you can vote. Uh-huh. But it does happen. And like I said, this website, mm-hmm. Restore Your Vote, you can download that or go to that website, fill out whatever form they ask you to, give them whatever information they ask you for, and they will let you know if you can vote. And they will help you know exactly what to do. But I believe if a person will talk to their parole officer, mm-hmm. The parole officer will advise them on how to take care of that.
Okay. The next question is, do they have to call ahead of time, or when they get there in order to bring the ballot out? Do they have to call before time or when they get there?
If the voter is alone in the vehicle, they can call ahead, and the elections division will call us to let us know someone is coming. Now, if they happen to be with someone else in the car, that person can come in, bring the voter's identification, mm-hmm. and we can sign them up inside and then bring the information to them on the spot. But you can call ahead, If you're not that far away from your polling location, just call ahead and tell them I should be there in about 15 minutes, and we can probably have somebody to look out for you. It'd be good if we knew what vehicle you were in or where you might park or whatever, but as much information as you can give us, because I expect we may be just a bit busy. I'm hoping we are.
Yes.
But either way, whatever the voter needs, we are here to supply them with whatever they need.
Okay. I had another question. Remember, I told you some people just text them to me. The individual wanted to know, how does mail-in voting work, and will I get in trouble if I do it wrong?
Well, actually, the process for voting by mail has not changed, only the application. And I don't know what you could do wrong on an application or a mail-in. You know, once you get your ballot, you certainly can't do anything wrong because it's yours to mark however you choose. But I'm afraid I don't really understand how what they're thinking, but I cannot think of anything that would cause you to get into trouble by voting by mail. I don't know what you could do wrong. Well, if you fill out the application wrong, we do know what they'll do. They'll either, I think they send it back to you, or get a hold of you somehow to let you know that there was a concern. But I don't know that you'd be punished for filling out an application or your ballot. With your ballot what you wish.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. You're saying exactly what I'm thinking, but I'm not looking at the punishment. I'm just saying, at what point should I be fearful that my vote won't be counted?
Well, now that's something I'm not qualified to answer.
Okay.
If you have those concerns, I would suggest calling the elections division, the voter registrar, the county clerk, Dwight Sullivan, or someone who has to I just don't know that information.
So
I don't know.
Just call those two numbers.
Yeah, I would call the election division to ask them whatever your concern is. And we have a wonderful new chief deputy of elections. She's a wonderful young lady. She's very helpful, and I don't know if her name is Wendy Fregosa.
Okay.
And Wendy will be happy to answer any question that a voter might have. But that's just something I'm not qualified to answer. I'm sorry.
Okay. That's okay. That's okay. You're here to give us what you know to the best of your ability, and we respect that. Okay.
Thanks.
There is another question on
Okay.
I see it's a lot of concern about inmates voting at the right time. But you said you're going to go into that later on anyways.
Well, actually, I've just about answered everything that I have for it. But
Okay.
let me read that. Let me go over that once more.
Okay.
And
Because I'll tell you what the question is while you're looking for it. My son was incarcerated for 10 years. He is now out, no longer on paper. He wants to vote, but doesn't want to end up getting in trouble voting when he's really not sure if he can.
I understand.
So,
Okay. So that person, as long as they're off paper,
mm-hmm.
their voting rights are restored, and their parole officer or someone connected with them from from their uh, connections with the state, someone should let them know. But they are, all I know about it is that once you're off paper, you're eligible to vote. And once a person has been fully discharged, now what that means, I can't answer, or their sentence pardoned, they are automatically restored. And I have a note here, it's not always clear when the sentence is fully completed. Now, this is one of those questions that the voter registrar will be able to answer for you. But if that person is off paper, their parole officer or the last person they dealt with corrections should have given them some kind of declaration stating that they are eligible to vote. But all they have to do, whenever you're in doubt about whether you are registered or not, you can go to Vote 411 or the Texas Secretary of State's website, or to galvestonvotes.org, or call one of those numbers. They will be happy to tell you whether you are eligible to vote or not. But I can tell that young man, if he's off paper, he is supposed to be fully restored. His voting rights should be fully restored.
Okay.
But I would call someone just to be sure, either with corrections or that department's called, or call the elections division or the voter registrar.
Okay. The parole division, can they give them a piece of paper that they would take with them?
I believe that might be what it is, but I was when I read it, it said a declaration, which means to me a piece of paper.
It's
but
a document.
I don't know much of those about that, but some of those people that I mentioned can help them.
Okay.
And they should pursue it immediately. But now, if they're not registered already, they cannot vote in the March primary. But we need to get them ready for the general election in November.
Okay.
So anybody who's listening, if you know anyone that has a question regarding their voting rights, please call somebody.
Okay.
And I would suggest the voter registrar, that's Cheryl Johnson, the tax assessor collector, call the county clerk, call the elections division, call somebody, your parole officer. Someone should let you know if you're eligible to vote or how you can find out. But I do believe that this website, Restore Your Vote, can help a person because, like I say, it's legal and it's anonymous. If they're concerned, they should Google Restore Your Vote. That's all. It's just Restore Your Vote, and it will help you.
Okay.
Find out. And if you're eligible, maybe they have a way to help you get registered or whatever. You will have to re-register, I believe. I'm not sure, but those people can help you. Okay. Okay. Was that the only question?
Those are the ones so far.
Okay. I'm sorry if none of that is very clear, but the only thing I can do is advise them to, and the first thing I would do, because it's so easy, you don't have to talk to anybody, you can just go to Restore Your Vote and fill out the appropriate information, and they'll get an answer to you.
Yes, and don't worry about it. You are clear on what you're saying. It's just everybody right now is just a little nervy because they are seeing people go to prison because they thought that they were really good to go on voting. So, people have family that they're concerned about, and they concerned about their family, and that family member, like the lady said, her son, he was incarcerated for 10 years. He wants to vote, but he don't want to vote and then end up going to prison. What you saying tonight is so very important, to search that, to go to your parole or probation officer and get that declaration so that you can have something in hand when you go to these polls. Because when you don't know, you just don't know. And let me tell you, it's valuable you being on here tonight, giving the resources, giving the people to go to in order to make things work out the right way, instead of people saying, just going blindly and listening to someone who give them wrong information. You've given numbers, you've given resources. That's all you can do. But that's a good thing because they're hearing it coming from someone of your stature of 30 plus years working as an election official. So I don't want you to go off here thinking like you didn't give enough information. What you are sharing tonight is stuff I didn't even know. So the viewers didn't know. So they're on there. We just trying to find out. All of us are learning from you. You got another question. What's the site to check? What's the site to check and make sure you are registered or not to vote? What's the site?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The site.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to Vote, VOTE 411. You can go to the Texas Secretary of State's website. And if you happen to know the two numbers that I gave you for your county, the voter registrar or your elections division, in case you're not in Galveston County, you can call them. Mm-hmm. And they will let you know if you're registered. You give them your information they ask you for, and they'll be happy to tell you. But you can go to Vote 411 or GalvestonVotes.org,
mm-hmm.
the Texas Secretary of State's website. But Vote 411 is good. All of those websites can help you. But if you don't have access to those, to a computer or smartphone, call.
Mm-hmm.
And Maxine, I will make sure that all those phone numbers and the websites that you give us are in the comments of this video. So if you don't get it written down, if you're viewing and you don't get it written down, don't be concerned. I will make sure that this information is in the comments of the video.
Very good. And with regard to disabled persons and voting curbside, if you're on a walker or in a wheelchair or crutches,
mm-hmm.
and you're at the back of a line or somewhere in that line, we can bring you to the front of the line.
Mm-hmm.
You can skip all those folks ahead of you, but you won't have to if you come vote early, because the lines are short, much shorter. But we can do that for you if you're disabled. Mm-hmm. So there's no reason people have not to vote. Okay.
Can you give those dates out again before you move forward? The dates for early registration.
For early voting?
Early voting.
But the early voting is from February 14th to the 18th, from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. That first week we're there, the polls are open 8 to 5. At Saturday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sunday, 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. At Monday is holiday, not voting. Tuesday through Friday, following the holiday, The polls are open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Then we are off Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And election day is March 1st. Tuesday, March 1st. So there's almost 2 full weeks of early voting available to everybody. And I certainly with everybody to please come and vote early.
Okay. Thank you.
And I did mention February 18th as the last day to apply for a vote by mail. And the last day to register to vote in the November election is October 5th.
What's
And
the
I
last
believe
day
those are the only dates
for
I
the
mentioned.
primary to register? Is it passed?
It has passed.
Okay.
Yes. So if you're not already registered for the primary, you'll have to wait. But we can get you registered, so that in November you'll be able to register. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit about what you need to present to the election clerk when you enter the polling location. First of all, you have to have a photo ID. You present that to the election clerk. There are 7 types of ID that's acceptable. The Texas driver's license, the Texas identification, the Texas handgun license, a U.S. passport, a U.S. citizenship certificate, and military ID. So you either got to have, now most people use their driver's license, and a lot of folks use their handgun license. But if you do not have, and then too, the whatever photo ID you use can have expired up for 4 years. So if you have a license that expired 4 years ago, you can still use it, or any of the other IDs. If they expired 4 years ago, you can still use them. Now, if you're over 70, there's no expiration date. There's no limit on the expiration date. If you're over 70, your license can be as old as you are, and you can still use it.
Oh, okay.
So it can be expired 4 years, but if you're 70, at least 70, there's no it can be expired for much longer. So now, if you don't happen to have one of those forms of photo ID, okay, if you're in the system and you voted before, that means you're in our system. You can fill out a reasonable impediment declaration. We have the forms at the polling location. This is a form you fill out stating that you could not get to wherever you needed to go to get a photo ID, either because you didn't have the transportation or because you were disabled or whatever reason you have. We cannot question your reason. But if you don't have that photo ID, you will need to bring, and you don't have it, bring with you to the polling location one of the following 6 pieces of paper: a birth certificate, a certified birth certificate, a current utility bill, a government check, a payroll check, a government document, which could be your voter registration certificate or a bank statement. Okay? If you don't possess at the time you come to vote one of those 7 acceptable forms of photo identification, you can do a reasonable impediment declaration using one of those pieces of information that I just named.
Could you?
That is, if you are in the system already. If you are not in the system and you want to come vote, even if you have photo ID, if you are not in our system saying that you are registered in Galveston County, you can vote a provisional ballot.
Okay.
But if you are in our system, you can do a reasonable impediment form and you will be able to vote a regular ballot. You were about to ask a question?
You said
I just was going to ask you to repeat those 7. Oh, I'm sorry, Electra.
no.
Okay.
And I was going to ask
the 7
about
acceptable.
And I was going to ask about the provisional ballot because some people might not understand that. So if you kind of talk a little bit more on that, if it's okay.
Okay. First of all, the 7 acceptable forms of photo ID are the Texas driver's license, the Texas ID issued by the state, there's something called the Texan election ID. I've only seen one of those. Many people have them because they have one or the other photo IDs. U.S. citizenship certificate, a U.S. passport, a handgun license, or a military ID with a photo.
What about the reasonable impediment ones? The birth certificate?
Okay, the reasonable impediment forms, you need either a certified birth certificate, a current utility bill, government check, a payroll check, a government document, including your voter certificate, that blue one that we just got, or a bank statement.
Okay, thank you, Maxine.
Now that's if you are already in our system, if you are a registered voter. Okay, and if you're not on our list of registered voters, you must vote a provisional ballot. Now, that's somebody whose eligibility we can't prove in the voting location. If you come in, we can't prove who you are, and you insist on voting, we give you a provisional ballot. It's a regular, it's a ballot. You vote, but we do not determine whether it's acceptable or not.
Okay.
That is done by an early voting ballot board. So we don't have anything to do with it. All we do is provide you with the provisional ballot and let you vote.
Okay. I have some
now,
viewers.
If you don't have
I have some viewers from Dallas.
Let me say this quickly before I forget.
Okay.
Let me say this quickly before I forget it.
Okay.
If you come to vote and you have forgotten your license, if you live close enough, you can go back home and get it and come back, or your photo ID, whatever you choose to use. You can go back home and come back and vote. But if you live too far away or for some reason you can't go back home to get it, you can vote a provisional ballot, and you have 6 days to go to the Justice Center in Galveston and provide that ID that you didn't have on the day you voted, and your ballot will your ballot will be good.
Okay.
So you have 6 days. If you happen to forget it, but you know you have it, you can do that. But if you do not have it and you know you can't get one before a reasonable amount of time, then you do that impediment declaration.
Okay.
Was there a question?
Have some viewers from Dallas, and this information would relate to them, like if they were down this way in Galveston County and they wanted to vote maybe while they were down here, they would do a provisional ballot, right?
What they would do is they would have to go to the Justice Center and vote. They would be allowed to do that, but if there's and all they can vote for is federal and state positions. They cannot do local. But if they live in Dallas and say they're here working, I can't let them vote because I don't have them in my system. But they can go to the Justice Center and they can vote what is called a limited ballot.
Okay.
And it is called a limited ballot because it only allows them to vote for federal or state positions, not local, because they don't qualify for the local position. But they can go to the Justice Center, and that's early voting only, not on election day. If they're here during early voting, they can go to the Justice Center and vote a limited ballot. So that's governor, and in this instance, governor, state reps, justice courts, and all that stuff. Everything except local.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So they got that because I got a few viewers who are from Dallas.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Did that answer their question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now, okay. And as I said, we are not required to ask you why you don't have a photo ID. Okay. That ain't our business, in other words. Okay.
Yes.
So that's that.
Okay.
Now, if possible, as I said earlier, please know who you want to vote for before you come into the polling place. That will cut down on a lot of time and trouble. You present the clerk your photo ID. If you're in the system, the clerk gives you what I call a receipt. It has your information on it. It's generated by a printer. You take that receipt and you go to the next election clerk. Give that piece of paper to them. They will give you your access code. The access code is what you take to the booth to vote. You put that access code in and it brings up your personal ballot. Now, it's very important that you make sure when you touch that screen, and lately, since COVID, we've been using Q-tips instead of people touching the screen. I'm sure we'll have that this time, I don't know. But you be sure that you touch the person you want. And before you leave that booth, you make sure that you have voted for everyone you intend to vote, because you can always go back and change this. But you make sure you see the U.S. flag on that screen before you leave the booth. If you do not cast that, there's a red cast ballot button. If you don't make sure that you cast that ballot button, your vote will not count. We are not allowed to touch it. We have to cancel that booth. So that means your vote will not count. So before you leave that voting booth, make sure you see a waving red, white and blue flag, a U.S. flag, before you leave that booth, so that your vote will be counted. It is against the law for us to touch it. So please remember, before you leave that voting booth, hit that cast ballot button and wait to see that flag, and it will tell you, thank you, your vote has been counted.
Okay.
And that's the same thing with the vote. If we excuse me, but if we do a curbside vote, when we take that piece of equipment back to the voting booth, it will say your vote has been counted. So we.
There you go.
Electric. She had to answer a call or tell it the call to go away. That happens on a phone. Yeah. It's okay.
Okay. All right. So
I have two more questions.
Sure.
Okay. If my child is 17, but he's graduated, can he vote or does he have to be 18? And where do you get the sample ballot?
Okay. In order, every U.S. citizen is eligible to vote if they meet these requirements. 18 years of age, but in Texas, 17 years and 10 months, you can apply to vote. Okay, you have to be a citizen of this country, and wherever you vote, you have to be a resident of that jurisdiction, of that area. So at 17 and 10 months, and you can find applications at public libraries, government offices, some high schools will have them, the post office. You have to fill out that paper, and the postage is free. You stick it in the mailbox. The postman will take it to the voter registrar. Now you can print a copy of a voter registration application offline, but you have to print it and mail that paper in. You cannot vote online except when you are renewing your driver's license through the DMV.
Okay.
That's the only time you can vote. You can apply online. They want that piece of paper. So there's an application to vote, to register to vote, and then there's an application to vote by mail. They're different. So that 17-year-old at 17 and 10 months, they can apply for voter registration.
Okay.
But it has to be that paper that's sent in to the voter registrar.
Okay.
Was there another part to that question?
It was just if my child is 17, but he's already graduated, can he vote or does he have to be 18? That was it. And you answered that.
17 and 10 months. That's pretty close to 8, but 17 and 10 months he can apply.
Okay, but he can't vote until he's 18.
That I think that's up to the jurisdiction. I seem to remember that they will send them a registration certificate, but it will say that they're not eligible. It will have a date on there that's after the election they're trying to vote in. So that I'm sorry, I'm not sure about that.
Okay,
but I don't think they can vote even when they get that certificate. I remember some problems with that, but I have to refer back to those 2 telephone numbers.
Okay, that's okay.
The voter registrar and the elections division. They will let you know exactly what's going on.
Okay. And then that second question was, where do you get the sample ballot? How can somebody find the sample ballot?
Okay, your sample ballot can be found at those same Websites I gave you: Vote 411, the Texas Secretary of State's website, galvestonvotes.org. Either of those can get your ballot for you, or your sample ballot. You can copy it if you have a printer, you can copy it. But those three websites I know for sure.
Okay.
And another good source for explaining exactly what candidates are for or against is through the Texas League of Women Voters. Every year they publish a paper, and they list all the candidates who care to participate. But they list all the candidates, what they're for, what they're against. So if you're concerned about who you should vote for, then their website you can either print it from their website or just read it from their website. But I've gotten a copy from the public library, so you may be able to find them. But that's a very good source, the League of Women Voters.
Okay.
They are nonpartisan, and they do an excellent job for democracy.
Okay. All right.
Okay, was that the last question, huh?
Yes. You have 5 minutes. So anything else you want to share? I know it just runs out.
Okay. Yeah, just be sure to put on that application to vote by mail, the driver's license. And I'm suggesting 2 kinds of identification: your driver's license or your ID, whatever you have, and the last 4 of your social. Okay. And I've seen one of those new forms, and it's up at the top right corner. There are 2 perforated lines, and they ask you for those numbers. So that's where you put those in. But I would give them as much information as I can. Now, at the primaries, please, there may be poll watchers at these at the primaries. So a poll watcher represents a candidate, a political party, or a measure that's on the ballot. They have every right to be there, but they are only there to observe the conduct of the election. They cannot talk to you, they cannot watch you vote, but they are there more or less to observe us and how we conduct that election. We are there we want people to have confidence in the election process. There's so much distrust these days. We do everything we can as election workers to make sure that things are done properly. But so please be sure to respect the poll watchers, but understand that they cannot approach you in any way, and they cannot watch you vote. Yes, and we want to establish and help increase confidence in the election process. That's what we're there for. And if you're in the polling location and you have a question, election workers are more than happy to answer your question for you. We want you to vote. We don't care. Well, we do care who you vote for, but we don't care if you're not from our party or you're not voting for my candidate. We don't know who you're voting for. We don't care. We want you to have a good experience while you're in our polling place. So if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if there's something going on outside that you're concerned about, let us know. Okay. And I can also tell you that this year, people can wear shirts, hats, or whatever, paraphernalia, whatever you call it, with former President Trump's name on it. At the last election, you could not wear any political advertisement in the polling location. That has changed. So if you're in the polling location, you can see people, Trump hats, Trump buttons, Trump shirts, and others too. But I've had people come to me about seeing Trump stuff in the polling location. That's allowed now. That has changed. So don't be alarmed. Just take care of your own business. And them wearing that stuff doesn't mean a thing. And it could be Obama stuff. If you can, if it's likely that you are going to run again in an election, you can wear it. So you'll probably see a bunch of stuff come in the polling location that you're not used to seeing. Just be prepared.
Okay.
But I hope I've been able to explain some things to people, but I want everybody to know that no matter what your condition, no matter what your disability, we have a voting booth that you can read Braille. We can increase the size of the font. We can turn it up louder so you can hear it. We try to accommodate every person who comes into our polling location. Okay. So whatever you need, please ask any election worker. If they can't answer the question, they will take that information to a judge. If the judge can't answer it, Galveston can.
Okay.
So we'll try to keep you in there as short a time as possible, but we want you to vote. We want you to be satisfied. We want you to trust what we're doing.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Maxine.
Thank you.
I'll get all these notes that I took, all that information. I'll get it put in the comments. It'll take me a little while.
All right.
I'll get it done.
And the questions that I could not answer fully, please feel free to check those, call those numbers or check those websites, and they'll be able to get the information the person needs.
Yes.
Okay.
I want to say
Thank you for having me.
I want to thank you for coming on. You really helped me a lot, and I know that you helped the viewers. I know you helped Jackie because she was struggling with that before you came on. She's been talking about that concern and couldn't wait for you to come on tonight to ask you that. I myself was glad to, get the feedback, and some people just letting us know as viewers that they're there and saying that this is good information, very important information. Now we have someone who view us but doesn't live in the United States of America, so I don't know what they're writing. Jackie can probably figure that out for me later on because she's good at that. But so you have people from all over. Everybody viewing is not in Galveston County, but this information is helping a lot of people. And I believe that everything that you shared on the night was some great concerns that people had, and you brought calm to a lot of people. And just because the people that's in the chat section on tonight, there are a lot of people who view us, but they see you, but they don't come on because they don't know how to get in the chat section, but they see the video going. So there's people in the chat, there's people just listening, there's people who are going to text me after this live is over, there's people who's going to reach out to Jackie after this live is over. But I just want to say thank you. What you did was valuable. It's valuable.
Well, I'm so happy to have been able to do this. I've never even listened to a podcast, so this was very new to me. I get a little nervous when I
you did good.
When I have to. to speak off the cuff, but I tried to do search on things that I knew, but I wanted to make sure that what I knew was accurate. So, but if there are some questions from people and you want to call me,
Okay.
that's fine. I have no problem with that.
Okay.
I enjoyed it, and
Maxine,
yes.
aren't you doing the voters clinic on Saturday at the new
Actually,
home?
and I'm thank you for reminding me of that, Jackie. That is at 9 a.m. I don't know the address.
I do. No,
It's
I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
Well, I'm not doing it. Actually, it would be good for anybody who can come. It's going to be conducted by the new Chief Deputy of Elections, Miss Wendy Fregoso, a young lady I have a lot of respect for. She is one of the most fair people I know.
Wonderful.
And I advise people to come if they can. It'll be interesting.
Yes.
I will be there, however, but I'm going to keep quiet as long as I can.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
You're
so
welcome.
much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Miss James.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Record.